Welcome back to another edition of Check Call. Don't forget to subscribe to Check Call, the newsletter on FreightWaves.com if you haven't already. Today, we welcome back one of my favorite people, and that is Sam Agyemang, VP of Business Development and Sales at ITF Group. Welcome back, Sam.
Mary, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I am excited today. This is something that we kind of teased last time that you were on the show, and that was like maybe this cool new thing that ITF Group was coming out with, and you guys came out with it. It's HaulerHub, and it's fantastic. So kind of break it down for us. What is it? What problem is it solving? And why is it arguably one of the coolest things to happen recently? I'm not going to say since sliced bread because, there's a lot of cool stuff.
We like our sandwiches around here.
Exactly. But break it down for us. What is it?
So HaulerHub really came out of a labor of passion with Sam Birkin and Beck Birkin. And essentially, they had been in the logistics industry for a while, and they were seeing the same pain points occurring time and time again with carriers. Not getting paid on time, not being able to, route their lanes effectively, having like manual logbooks that were really kind of tedious. This is one of the industries where adaptation to technology is very, very slow. It's to say the least. So, people don't necessarily want to jump onto the bandwagon when it comes to technology because there's a lot of things and products and solutions out there that tend to be technology for technology's sake. They don't simplify problems. They kind of make them more complex. So I was kind of brought in on the shipper side to figure out those pain points. And essentially what we're setting out to do is literally take logistics and bring it into the 21st century. So
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, I'm just saying, so you're like, okay, I'm like, you're going to say something. I'm like, maybe take a pause. Essentially by allowing the user, which is you, either the carrier or the shipper, to quiet the noise and all the go-between and simplify it down to like simple communication, ease of use process, and being able to literally just jump in there and get the loads delivered, have full transparency. Like there's so many ways that we're answering those pain points because we just know the industry and we know what the daily things that people struggle with and still have difficulty kind of finding good solutions for. So essentially, we developed this to create a really easy process and have a very streamlined ability to communicate directly with your driver in cabin when it's safe, when the vehicle stopped, and then also just to have full transparency from the time that you pick up your load and that geofencing as to where that driver is, make sure they're on time, and then to find when they're delivering it so that you don't have any more, I'm waiting in queue, but then it shows me that you're like 20 miles away. So it gives a lot more power back to the end user, and it simplifies that noise in between communication by cutting out the middleman and the intermediaries and just letting people communicate directly through technology.
First of all, I think that that's quite an ambitious task that you guys are undertaking of, bringing the transportation industry up to, I'm going to just say the 21st century. I'm not saying cutting edge technology, but, for every driver out there on a Nextel walkie-talkie cell phone, there's also one that will still swing by the UPS store and have Sweet Maria send in all of their signed BOLs for the past month. And honestly, anything we can do to maybe just speed that process up where we don't have to wait for Maria to be working at the UPS store or, I don't even know if they still make Nextel walkie-talkie phones, but I guarantee there's a driver out there that still has it, which not that that's a problem.
No.
But, maybe we would like some newer things.
Perhaps. That might make the process a little simpler. And kind of taking off of your anecdote about the Maria, how about we just cut that out altogether, and we have digital BOLs. So essentially, once that delivery is made, you have a digital BOL that goes out to all the people that need to have it in real time, signed. And another good thing about that is we all know that freight fraud is so prevalent. The statistics are astounding. I think from 2021, it's 1,500% increase in freight fraud. So by having a digital BOL, you're preventing those bad actors from manipulating it and changing figures that sometimes those warehouses won't even know are changed until months after when they do inventory. And then they're finding these discrepancies, going back to the carrier and saying like, well, what happened? So giving that control and that ease of use back to that end user again, and understanding the equation. You've got someone that's moving items, and that's someone who needs those items to be moved. It's not that complicated. We can make it simple, we can make it easy, and we can make it literally in the century for you to utilize and take advantage of that technology.
I hate that in the century is still like just a very like a real thing that is actually applicable. Mostly because a couple years ago I was still faxing things to carriers, and I was like, who even has a fax machine to receive things? Why can't I just send you an email? But hey, the drivers are out there. If that's how they want to work, that's how they want to work. Who am I to tell them
Mary,
to,
I
to maybe
absolutely
get an email address?
I really agree with you, but here's the thing. You know, that workforce, those drivers, they're aging out. So that
Mhm.
Gen Z driver that's joining like a school and learning to get their CDL, they're not going to do things the manual old way. They're going to want ease of use, they're going to want efficiency, and they're going to want it now. So we're really thinking about the market today and the market tomorrow and how we can kind of shorten that gap of that lack of technology and literally start giving people the tools now that'll take us into the future of logistics.
100%. And that is something that, I know that we like to poke fun at or just kind of bring up some of the drivers that exist on some of the dinosaur technology, but I would say that those are still the minority. We are seeing those adopt newer ways, faster ways of working. Also, a lot of the new tools that are out there, I mean, HaulerHub could maybe be one of them, but a lot of the new tools that are out there, they are there to make sure that carriers aren't susceptible to fraud themselves. It's not just there to protect brokers and shippers and other places. It's really there to make sure that like the carriers can trust the brokers as well as the brokers can trust carriers, because you never know if you're a carrier and you go to pick something up off a load board, how do you know that brokerage actually has the permission for that load? You don't want to be on the other end of the double brokering. I know that it's like, not super fun and not great. And but it is a problem that is running rampant. But correct me if I'm wrong, HaulerHub does kind of help mitigate some of that double brokering, correct?
So here's the thing. We have five levels of authentication, which means that it's very, very difficult for those bad actors to even get into our platform in the first place. And where maybe other software companies have the same level of security, they may stop there. We're constantly revetting our carriers to make sure that they didn't sell their MC numbers to someone else, that the people that we originally brought into our marketplace are still valid users, and we're constantly updating. It's not like a one and done. It's like a living organism. It requires like continued work and checking of those balances, because we don't want any of our end users to be the recipients of things that we could absolutely prevent. And there's a lot of freight fraud that is happening today. And I think that HaulerHub solves those issues, especially for those high value cargo loads. If you're moving electronics or like luxury goods, you want to make sure that you're choosing the right carrier for sure. But you also want to make sure that it gets to its expected destination and in its entirety. So that's what HaulerHub is really helping to solve, as far as like high value loads of cargo, making sure that you've got full transparency of where that truck is on the road at all times. And that if need be, if there's a stop or a stall and you're feeling a little skittish, you can find out what's happening directly in cabin with communication to that driver. You're not going to have to like send a dozen emails back and forth through a brokerage to find out what's going on and then possibly not get the full story. You're going to be in full control of where your loads are going at all times. And I think putting that control back into putting that shipper in the driver's seat is what in the market that I haven't seen yet. And that's what HaulerHub is answering that and bringing that solution to.
I mean, I think there's a really valid case for that because, like you said, not even. I mean, obviously, high value freight takes the cake on that. Like, if I have something that requires a carrier to get extra insurance, I want to know where that is every second of every day. And some of that stuff is like is big. Like one of the jobs I used to have, I hauled really big research tractors, and these tractors were like $2 to $3 million tractors. And they were just sitting in a field without a driver. So you would just give a driver GPS coordinates and go, okay, pick it up here and then drop it off in this field over here. Cause why not drive it to a random field 3 states away? But it was one of those things that like they had to get extra insurance for. There had to be special permits for because they were oversized, overweight, and millions of dollars. So that's definitely something that I wish I would have had in that instance instead of just like call me when you get to the field so I can make sure that you're picking up the right tractor. Because if that isn't some yeehaw business right there of just like call me when you get to the farm field, we're going to make sure that we pick up the red tractor instead of the green one. Like what?
Yeah, again, like I said from the start of this conversation, we're really looking to modernize this industry, and not just for the sake of saying like, hey, we've got another cool shiny product that nobody's using. We're talking about real issues that we're solving through technology. Everything is moving towards some sort of automation, whether you want to call that AI, machine learning, etc. If you don't adapt, unfortunately, you die. So we're really just trying to make sure that we have solutions that are in place that are current, but that can also take us into what we're doing in the future. And I think that's what HaulerHub is really answering that question. It's like, how do we take an industry that has archaic practices and modernize them in a way that's not complicated and that makes it sticky? Because when you're a shipper in HaulerHub, you're not contracted to us. So you're basically signing up. If you're paying your carriers on time, which is what we care about most, you're not paying any additional fees. So it's really about making sure within that 45-day period of payment, it's really about making sure that you create a partnership. This is more of a marketplace where you've got your carriers and your shippers on equal footing, and they're just conducting their everyday business. That makes our industry run. We all go to the retail stores for food, items, etc. We lived through COVID. We know what it looks like to not see things on the shelves, and our drivers are a big part of making sure that we have goods on the shelves to literally buy the things that we need and we use every day. So just simplifying that process to me is exactly what we set out to do and what we really love, because this is something that has been kind of cooking for some time, and being able to kind of put it out there and understanding that this is a solution that people will actually appreciate because it's going to answer those problems, those pain points, as opposed to just kind of, more of the same. We've seen the different technology and apps and such that just come and go, and they don't necessarily add value to the industry, but they add noise. And then there's drivers that are just basically they have app fatigue. Oh, I just downloaded an app for this that's going to help me with that. And then all of a sudden you've got like your personal device with like 20 different apps that do more or less the same thing or different things in different places. We're just trying to create one one-stop shop. You come in, you log in, you have all your access to what you need, and making that happen on both the shipper and the carrier side, we call them haulers, is what we're setting out to do. We really want to make sure that people understand that this is not going to be like a month-long training for a software use. This is something that literally is so intuitive that you open it up, everything is just very ergonomic in use. The UI design is fantastic. It's a really, really, really great tool for people to use. And if you'll have me back again, I'd love to give a live demo on exactly what we can do.
I absolutely love that. One of the things that you will first of all, we'll absolutely have to have a live demo. Second of all, one of the things I love that you guys kind of, I don't want to say judge, but like rank and rate people on is their time to pay and how quickly they pay, and if they're paying their drivers. Because selfishly, well, I guess not really selfishly, drivers are pretty important to pay. Call me old fashioned. I think we should pay. I think that's something that if we're gonna decide if somebody is a worthy partner or worthy of doing business in the future, I definitely think their ability to pay their bills is going to be 100% the correct move. Because at the same time, the way that driver or that carrier is getting involved with the shipper, there's not that many protections going that way as well. So they're just kind of hauling something and hoping they get paid for it. And it's just the same way that shippers are hoping that there's not going to be extra accessorials or other random charges that get added to something. And I will say that if I know that there's a shipper that maybe is not the most prompt in their payment, I will, and I'm a carrier, like, I'm not saying that I would do this. I'm just saying I wouldn't blame you if you did. And that is if you kind of added some inconvenience charges. Not that I'm saying mark up your bills. I'm not saying that. But we all have those customers. We all have those clients where you're like, man, I wish I could just add some zeros to the end of it. And, if you have a limited access delivery and you're oftentimes going to waive that fee, maybe we don't waive that fee on this one. Or, there is no room for negotiation on those accessorials, because if someone's difficult to deal with and you're potentially not going to get paid, I'm certainly not going to cut them a discount or overlook a fee or just say, don't worry about it this time, in exchange for maybe someday getting paid. If that's the case, absolutely not. You are going to get the full charge of a weight reclass or any other lift gate or anything like that. You're going to get the full charge if you're not paying people timely. And I do like that is something that you guys more or less kind of like call out and bring to the attention of people.
And you touched on a very important piece of the puzzle, because a lot of people will focus on the carrier side for the vetting, but we vet our shippers too. So we go to their Dun & Bradstreet. We make sure that they've got like a good standing there, that they're making payments on time. We also make sure that all of those accessorials are paid upfront. So there's not going to be a time where the hauler is looking at the invoice and be like, I didn't get paid for this. They were straps that were used. We did all this other different things within the movement. They're already planned out. So when that shipper sits down at their desktop and they're using our web application, there's all of the things that you would need in drop-down menus for such ease of use to like have it all planned out. You're not going to have any guesswork. It's all about just again, making it as simple as possible, because we like to keep it simple, stupid. And
exactly.
and we're not trying to, reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to give you a smoother ride. So essentially we're going to create something that is not just easy to use, but that's going to make your life so much more simpler. And that's what the goal is. We're not trying to complicate logistics. That's our job. And we're using technology to kind of create not shortcuts per se, but ease of use, so that if, like we talked about before, like automate what you hate. Like, why are we spending all these man hours doing things where we could use technology to kind of make that process a lot more streamlined? And that's what HaulerHub is literally setting out to do.
I absolutely love that, because we don't need to honestly, we don't need to go through more crap and stuff to try to do the job. It's truly not rocket science. Freight is moving. And the more I feel like we're kind of in an era of like almost making it harder on ourselves than it needs to be. Like, we're overcomplicating things for the sake of overcomplicating things, or for the sake of enhancement and efficiency. But really, we're just kind of like twining ourselves up in rope and then trying to take a few steps. But I guess kind of going down that vein, as we see a lot of things about automation, AI, all of that stuff. What is that? Do you see that coming in to be like a huge play in HaulerHub in the next few years, or kind of in what you guys are offering? Do you see that being like a huge component? Because there are a lot of shippers that are looking to logistics service providers and to some of their partners. There are a lot of shippers that are looking for them to kind of hold the tech stack for a shipper, not because the shipper's not going to necessarily go and invest all the money in the brand new TMS or warehouse management system. So I'm curious, like, what is your guys' vision for the future of HaulerHub over like the next year?
So first of all, again, the reason why I love our conversations is because you absolutely understand what we're trying to do. So yes, we have built out a system that is not just like I've said earlier, not just for the right now, but thinking about what's happening in the markets and how we're going to roll out logistics in the future. The technology that we have in place, there's a lot of groundwork for a lot of very cool things to come. So one of the things that we're working on is taking not just the national side of truckload business, but what about that international customer? I think that in our current geopolitical times, and we're talking about the different effects of tariffs, and domestic markets saying like, wait, but we get things from overseas to sell here. How can we do that efficiently? How can we do that to save money? And we're rolling out a more of a global approach to our software, so that if you've got things coming in from, say Minsk, and you need to deliver them to, a client in Frankfurt, we can do that for you. If you have, items that are literally coming in from Turkey, and you need to get them, delivered to a customer that you have in Rome, we can schedule those movements for you as well. Like, we're already in process to expanding not just our domestic movements, but also international. And I think that ties into a lot of other logistic services that we're already utilizing for a lot of companies that do bring goods from overseas. And that's something that obviously the technology can really help with, and simplify just those form fills, the things that are standard in different countries in the EU, et cetera, and making it very easy to use for our people here in the States and abroad.
Look at you guys being international multi-business businessmen and women. I love it. You guys are just like, oh, we just happen to be international phenomenons, just basically the pop stars of freight. I like it. I can't wait to see kind of how you guys grow that and all the places that goes. But that being said, Sam, we're coming to the end of our time, and we already know your house choices for what you would choose to build. So we're going to have to hit you with a new question. So Sam, the question that I have for you today is, what is the ultimate ballpark snack? Like, it's the summertime, it's baseball season. What is like, this is not a good time at a baseball game until you have this snack?
I mean, for me, it's anything like French fries. Like, I just like fries. It's a good ballpark kind of thing. It's not messy like nachos, so you could kind of still have a good snack, and it's easy.
It is easy, but like the nachos, you get like such a salty chip with like the yellow. Can we even call it cheese?
It's cheese adjacent, and I again, big fan of nachos. But if you're talking about like just an easy snack, I'll go for the fries every time.
Okay. All right. I like it. I mean, fries are solid. I am a lover of fries, so I really can't say anything on that answer because it's elite. But I like that choice. It's because also you can find it at just about any ballpark, because I know that like there's some weird things at baseball stadiums across the country, and fries are not that. So, all right, Sam. So if anyone has the best recommendation for baseball fries, or if they have any questions about, how do we get in the 21st century for transportation, where can they find you outside the show?
Well, first of all, I would tell them to go to our website. It's haulerhub.com. That's HaulerHub.com. You're going to have our white paper on there. There's a calculator that you can literally kind of gauge your freight. It'll show you how you can save money with us, which is another great feature. You also can visit us on any of our social platforms and all the usual places. Just put in HaulerHub. And then there's also, our partner ITF Group. So itfgroup.com would be a great place to kind of get resources on all things logistics. And we have our technology section coming out soon. We're doing a little bit of a rebranding and marketing with our team to kind of put on a new face for where we've developed. Because with logistics and in life, if you're not striving to kind of improve and continue to adapt, you're already behind. So we're always thinking about ways to innovate for not just ourselves internally, but for our customers, and give them a really great product and ease of service. So I would say those would be
Awesome.
the best ways to reach us.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I really appreciate our time. Thank you, Mary, and have a great week ahead.
Find Check All the Podcasts anywhere you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcast and Spotify. See you on the internet.